welcome to this Facebook Live at the Raisina Dialogues, 21 at 20. I'm Shelley Thakral and I head policy programs for South Asia. And at Facebook, for us, it's very much about giving people the power to build social value. And I'm very happy to be able to welcome today my two guests, Marina, who is from Argentina, and she heads an NGO there, and Akanksha, who is a CSR lead in India. So welcome to you both.
Thank you.
In 2018, Facebook launched Project 17. So we have 17 Sustainable Development Goals. We have a mission by 2030 to make sure that we achieve this. Mm-hmm. One of the questions that we need to really address, and why we're here today, is to really think about what is the political will at the moment in terms of making sure that we prioritize this. Do we have the right players in place? Do we have the right incentives in place? And really, you know, what do we need to do? What's that last push that really makes people care and want to do things? From our point of view, in the world of tech, in the world of digital openness and the data that we have, there is a real promise, I think, where technology can play a massive role in driving this. And Marina, maybe I can go to you first. We're sort of entering into this fourth industrial revolution, and what role do you think digital technology ought to be playing that we can really, you know, make sure that we can get behind this and make sure that we can drive for change?
Well, I couldn't agree with you more on the point of view that technologies of information and communication bring to us tools to know what are people's needs and desires, and to collect that information and put it out there allows almost everyone to know which are the next goals, the goals to come. So I think during the fourth revolution era, it's really important to know how to use them, how to take advantage of them, and how to apply them to achieve or to accomplish these SDGs we are talking about.
Can I just ask you one additional question to that? In the current work that you do in Argentina, how are you contributing to this mission?
Well, my favorite SDG, for sure, is the fifth one, relating with gender equality. My work in Argentina has to do with technologies of information and communication applied to gender problematics. I mean, women in this fourth era, revolution era, how do we connect or are unconnected, and how do we use them in order to improve or to enforce our self-realization? So everything related with goals, I mean, I can overlook the power of technologies of information and communication, and to me it's really important that we women learn how to take ICT for us and to...
And ICT is?
Information and communication technologies, sorry.
We like to spell it out and make sure that we're inclusive and making sure that people can also sort of follow that as well. So
I agree.
So Akanksha, in India, you know, it couldn't be, I mean, there's probably so many parallels to draw in terms of, you know, what isn't working and what ought to be working. I mean, may I just first of all ask you a question about, you know, why do we need to care in India, you know, right now in 2020 about, you know, we're 10 years away. It's not a lot of time. We're sort of at the beginning of this decade. The clock is ticking. You know, should we be worried?
Yes, definitely. So, well, I believe that the UN's 2030 agenda, which forms these SDGs, has given the world a very inclusive development model. And India has been one of the lead authors and architects and contributors towards development of these SDGs, and therefore it's very important for India to demonstrate to the world that how inclusive we are as a country. And it definitely calls for more alignment of the public policies with the SDGs. But I believe that that is not just enough. I mean, the implementation of SDGs on the ground is not just about the public policies, because it calls for a much deeper commitment at the institution, social, legal, and the whole political narrative, because each one of them is contributing to the development agenda. And that is where the movement should start on.
How do you even go about doing that, though? How do you get people to care? Like,
well,
where does that need to start?
Well, I think it should start at the unit level, and by unit I mean every individual, every village, every block, every district, every institution should take the accountability and the responsibility to make sure that we speak at least the language of SDGs. We try tracking our performance and see how aligned are we towards these SDGs.
But do you think we need to kind of go beyond this label of sustainable development goals and actually make it integral to the way we want to improve the lives of women, for girls to be able to continue their education? So is there a disconnect perhaps now where we're having this dialogue about sustainable development goals? How do we even, I mean, I'm asking many questions, and but I'm actually, what I want to know is the dialogue about meeting the SDGs, or is it about making sure that we improve the lives of people?
I think it's a very important question, and I'll take a moment here, because I think it's important for us to understand that SDGs have not fallen from the sky. I mean, the fundamental thing about SDGs is that the world, and we should leave nobody behind, and that is very inclusive. And people may have, the political parties may have disagreements and differences on a whole range of issues, but I think this is one common ground that brings everybody together. And the collusion should happen when it comes to SDGs, and this is what I'm looking forward to at all levels.
I would like to say something on that. I was thinking about this multi-stakeholder thing or dialogue in which multiple institutions take part, for example, government, universities, there's private sector, but the people who is going to get the benefits of these accomplishments, is it really aware of what SDGs are? How do we get the information out there for them in order for them to think of claiming them? I mean, most of the population don't really have the access to this kind of information. And I think that social media, for example, it's a really good resource to put the information for everyone available and make it accessible as well.
Akanksha, what do you think? In a country like India, where for the most part, people do live in unconnected, dark areas, limited access to clean water, let alone technology. So again, it is an interesting point where you're saying to the politics of this country, please don't leave anybody behind. Please make sure that we do what we've signed up for. But how do you even get people to start demanding what their rights are, basic rights to clean water, education, equal lives, all lives are equal?
I think it's very important. I mean, thank you for asking this, because all the human needs that you see, I mean, they revolve around SDGs. We ask for food, we ask for equality of all sorts, education, access to clean drinking water. These are what SDGs are. So for some, I know there are technical barriers, there's less access to technology and understanding these so-called heavier words, but I think this is what we all ask for, and I believe at some level political parties carry it in their manifestos, and that is where the people should start demanding it. I mean, they all demand it all the time.
Marina, I want to ask you, in terms of women and the participation of women, if we were to talk about a certain target group, we at Facebook care very much about communities and really making sure that we can include as many people and represent as many people. how do you think women ought to be playing a role in over the next 10 years? What can we do for women to ensure that we do have success?
Oh, for sure. I think that this is our moment. And I also think that it's really important that we take the place like with full acknowledgement of what it demands and of what it means. Not only like women who are used to speak and who had the chance to do it for a period of time, but also the regular women that they can feel free of expressing themselves and expressing their needs. And I again think, for example, freedom of expression online is crucial. And in this particular field, I think that we experience gender-based digital violence, and that's a concerning way of making us like going into the censorship. So we have to be aware of this long path ahead, and there's a lot of things that we have to fight for. And maybe if we are convinced that it's going to be long and hard, and it's going to be like a constant struggle with everything, we can definitely put that conviction like in the goal and go for it. So I think women are fully prepared for this decade, and political statements also.
And in Argentina, what do you think you're trending well on? In terms of the SDG index, where are you in a good place right now in Argentina that you can sort of showcase for the rest of the world?
In Argentina, SDGs are not like part of the explicit political agenda, but they are out there. They are maybe civil society is the one that brings the SDGs more like in an explicit way. But I think that social movements, for example, feminism in Argentina, it's really strong, and it has gone up in the last 5 years. And I think that maybe that's something to highlight, how feminism in my country brings these ideas to the table and says, okay, let's discuss this in order for gender equality, but also with a view on the rest of the SDGs. We are not only focusing on one SDG, but in every SDG with a gender-sensitive approach.
Okay, I want to ask you both now, how well do you know your SDGs? We have 17. I'm going to ask you first, Akanksha, what do you think SDG number 10 is?
SDG is
no, not cheating allowed.
It's no. I know that. Otherwise, it's about reducing inequality.
That's absolutely right. And what do you think SDG 13 is? Because that's top of mind for everybody in 2020.
Climate.
It's climate.
Yeah.
It's absolutely climate action. And the last one I wanted to ask you is, what do you think SDG 9 is?
Life below water?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay, I know that. Industrialization and production.
It is.
Innovation.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of begs the question. I know that we're sort of being slightly jolly about this, but it also does beg the question that it ought to also be ingrained in us,
Yes.
and it is something that we all should carry every day and think how can I add value, and how can I kind of continue to make a difference. We have 40 seconds left. I want you to give a message to the audience, if you can, in terms of in your language, Marina, really what you would like people to do and your call to action.
Bueno, creo que es importante que nos arroguemos el conocimiento de las metas de desarrollo sostenible, y por sobre todo entender que las mujeres estamos en una posición muy particular hoy en día, en que tenemos que buscar esos espacios en donde reclamar nuestros derechos.
Gracias. Gracias.
De nada.
Akanksha?
Yes, my message is that everybody should internalize SDGs at their individual level. It does not call for large institutions to carry out their roles, and of course they will do, but I think it's more about realizing our responsibilities towards the world at our own level.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Thank you.